A major winter storm is gearing up to impact a huge portion of the United States, bringing a dangerous combination of heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain. A fast-moving low-pressure system is strengthening as it tracks from the Central Plains toward the East Coast, and along that path we're going to see disruptive winter weather from Kansas all the way to Maine. Let's start with the big picture. A broad swath of accumulating snow is expected from the Central Plains through the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and into New England. Many locations in this zone are on track to pick up 3 to 7 inches of snow, with some areas getting a bit more where the snow bands line up just right. The highest concern, however, is a sharper corridor of heavy snow from the Great Lakes into the interior Northeast. In that zone, double-digit totals are possible. Cities like Erie, Albany, Worcester, and Concord could end up with over a foot of snow if the heaviest bands park overhead for several hours. Normally, with winter storms like this, snow is the main story. But with this system, there's another threat that may be even more dangerous: ice. Widespread freezing rain is expected to develop on the southern and eastern side of the storm, especially across parts of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and the higher elevations of the Carolinas and Appalachians. Even a thin glaze of ice is enough to turn untreated roads into skating rinks. Some locations in this zone could see 1/10 of an inch of ice or a bit more, which may lead to slick travel, downed tree limbs, and scattered power outages. Now let's walk through the timeline so you know what to expect and when. Early on, snow is already breaking out across parts of Kansas, with a mix of light freezing rain and drizzle in Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and southwest Missouri. Through the morning and midday hours, that light freezing precipitation will extend from around Little Rock back toward Joplin and surrounding areas. Because the precipitation is light and temperatures are right around freezing, this is a classic setup for freezing drizzle. Hard to see, easy to underestimate, but very efficient at making roads slick, especially bridges and overpasses. If your local roads are untreated in Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, or southern Missouri, conditions could deteriorate quickly even without heavy precipitation. By midday and early afternoon, the snow shield expands from central Kansas into eastern Nebraska, Iowa, and western Illinois. Snow intensity will start out light to moderate but will increase as the storm strengthens. At the same time, freezing rain will continue to affect parts of northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, while plain cold rain falls farther south toward the Gulf Coast in states like Louisiana, Mississippi, and southeast Texas, where temperatures are too warm for wintry precipitation. As we head toward late afternoon and evening, the system really begins to organize. Two air masses are meeting: cold, dense air spilling over the Rockies and milder, moisture-rich air streaming north from the Gulf of Mexico. Where those collide, the storm deepens. That's when we'll see snow intensify across Illinois, eastern Missouri, Indiana, and portions of the lower Great Lakes. Snow may become heavy at times, especially from central Illinois through Indianapolis and into western Ohio. Meanwhile, a narrow band of freezing rain and sleet will linger across western Kentucky, southeast Missouri, and northeastern Arkansas. Around places like Jonesboro, there could be a brief but impactful window of freezing rain Monday night into early Tuesday, leading to patches of ice on untreated roads and sidewalks. Again, we're not talking about a classic crippling ice storm, but enough to cause travel problems and minor power issues in a few communities. Overnight, as the storm continues its eastward push, the snow shield grows even larger. Darker blues on forecast models across the Ohio Valley indicate heavier rates, on the order of 2 to 3 inches per hour in the most intense bands. If you're in Indiana, Ohio, western Pennsylvania, or southern Michigan, that's when you're most likely to see the heaviest snow, generally between late Monday evening and early Tuesday morning, depending on your location. The good news for those who don't like snow: this storm is fast-moving. For many areas, the worst of it will last only 4 to 6 hours before tapering off. The snow will also be relatively wet and heavy, which means it compacts more and may not pile up as dramatically as a fluffy, powdery snow would. However, because some of these regions have just experienced recent snow, This event will add on to existing snowpack, pushing totals higher and making shoveling and plowing more challenging. As we move into the pre-dawn and early morning hours of Tuesday, a stripe of light freezing rain may also develop across parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio, and back toward Middle Tennessee, including areas west of Nashville. Again, most spots will only see a trace to a few hundredths of an inch of ice, but that's more than enough to create black ice, especially where skies clear and temperatures briefly dip after the main precipitation band passes. In some communities, that thin invisible layer plus a coating of snow on top will be a double hazard for the Tuesday morning commute, potentially leading to school delays or cancellations. By Tuesday morning, the focus shifts to the northeast. Around daybreak, snow will be spreading across Pennsylvania, New York, northern New Jersey, and interior parts of the mid-Atlantic, then charging quickly into New England. During the late morning and afternoon, heavy snow is possible from eastern Pennsylvania into upstate New York, interior Massachusetts, southern Vermont, New Hampshire, and parts of Maine. Cities like Albany and Worcester may end up close to the rain-snow line at times, so a small shift in the storm track could make a big difference in whether you see mostly rain, heavy snow, or a wet mix. Farther north and in higher elevations, however, there is a higher likelihood of steady, accumulating snow. In those areas, a quick-hitting nor'easter during the daytime Tuesday could drop 4 to 8 inches, with localized 10 to 12 inches where bands persist. By Tuesday evening, snowfall will begin to wind down across the major metro areas of the Northeast. Most of Pennsylvania, New York City's suburbs, and southern New England should see snow ending by late afternoon or early evening. The last to clear out will be northern New England, where snow may linger into late Tuesday night, especially in northern Maine, interior New Hampshire, and the higher terrain of Vermont. Now, let's break down expected snowfall totals more cleanly. Central Plains and Midwest, Kansas, Missouri, central Illinois. Generally 2 to 4 inches, with isolated spots near 5 inches in central Kansas where snow bands are strongest. This will be enough to coat roads and create slick conditions, but is not expected to be a prolonged blizzard-type event. Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. A more substantial event here, with a widespread 3 to 6 inches and pockets of 4 to 8 inches in central and eastern Indiana and western and northern Ohio. These areas already have snow on the ground from recent storms, so this will add to existing totals. Nashville and much of Tennessee. Mostly rain, perhaps a few flurries on the backside of the system. Significant accumulation is unlikely this time. Northeast and New England. Widespread totals of 3 to 7 inches from the eastern Ohio Valley through Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and interior New England, with localized 6 to 10 plus inches in favored bands, especially in southern Vermont, interior New York near Lake Erie, and higher terrain in New England. Lake effect snow could enhance totals around the Great Lakes after the main storm pulls away. Now for the ice threat. Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, western Tennessee, western Kentucky. Light freezing rain and freezing drizzle today into early tomorrow. While most will see only a glaze to around 0.05 inches of ice, that is enough to make untreated roads, steps, and sidewalks hazardous. A few slick spots and minor accidents are possible if drivers are not cautious. Appalachian region, eastern Kentucky, higher elevations of West Virginia, western Virginia, and portions of the Carolinas. Here, amounts could be closer to 0.10 inches of ice, especially in higher terrain. That's still not a classic crippling ice storm, but it is enough to cause isolated power outages, small tree limb damage, and dangerous travel in spots, particularly on mountain roads, secondary roads, and shaded areas. Even if your local forecast calls for only a trace of ice, remember, it takes less than 1/100th of an inch, barely a thin glaze, to create black ice. If temperatures are near or below freezing and the pavement looks wet but shiny, assume it might be icy and slow down. Looking beyond this storm, the pattern stays active. On Wednesday, some light snow is possible across parts of the upper Midwest and the Rockies, but nothing as significant as this first storm. By Thursday and Friday, attention shifts to the Gulf Coast and southern plains, where a new system could bring heavy rain and possibly isolated severe thunderstorms. Colder air to the north may interact with this system, raising the risk of a wintry mix or light snow as far south as parts of North Carolina, Virginia, and possibly the mid-Mississippi Valley. By the upcoming weekend, guidance suggests another surge of colder air and the potential for a new round of accumulating snow across portions of the Midwest, with a chance for 3 to 6 inches in some areas, though details are still uncertain. Looking further ahead into mid-December, long-range models hint at a busy storm track across the United States, especially if a strong Pacific storm train sets up and sends repeated systems across the country. In short, meteorological winter has arrived with a bang. After several relatively mild early Decembers in recent years, this pattern is a noticeable change, offering multiple chances for snow, ice, and active weather across large portions of the country. If you're in the path of this winter storm, now is the time to prepare. Check your local forecast frequently. Allow extra time for travel, or consider delaying non-essential trips. Have a basic winter kit in your car if you must drive. Things like blankets, a flashlight, and some extra food and water. And as always, take it slow on the roads, especially where freezing rain or black ice is possible. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll keep you updated as this active pattern continues to unfold.